Welcome to NWA Connie Corso's podcast, where we talk all things dogs.
All right, here we go. Hey, Brother Wayne, how you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing all right on this cold winter day.
Man, we getting smashed with snow down here in Arkansas.
Yeah, I saw
So,
it. We got it already. We got hit Friday and Saturday.
okay. All right. Well, first of all, I'm glad to have you here. There's been some giants in the world, in the protection world, not necessarily your discipline, say a lot of good things about you, you know. And one
Well,
of them said,
that's a good thing, man. Is I've kind of did all the disciplines.
"Oh, you
I
have? I
started.
didn't know that."
Yeah, for sure. I mean, um, I started out doing personal protection before I got into dog sports. So, um, personal protection was always kind of my thing. That was the start of it for me.
Okay. Well, let's do this. For those who don't know you, this is Wayne Singleton. And Wayne, can you give everybody kind of a brief background on who you are and what you do, brother?
Man, shit. That's always a tough one for me, man, because my my background kind of extends, over so many years. I mean, I started in 1989 doing personal protection, and then I was introduced to IPO, which back then was called Schutzhund, and that just kind of became my passion. But I've always, kept track of and I've always dabbled in both throughout since 1989. But um, Schutzhund or IGP as they call it today just kind of became my passion. I kind of like the competitive part of that more so than I did the personal protection.
Gotcha. And you were out of Illinois, right?
Yeah, I'm born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. Right now, I live about 45 minutes south of Illinois in Kankakee, Illinois. That's where our training facility and training field is.
Okay. So, what is the? I was doing a little research on you. What is the Midwest Working Dog Association?
Man, good question. So I'm actually rocking a Midwest Working Dog
There we go.
Association T-shirt right now. Boom.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, Midwest Working Dog Association was a personal protection club that was founded by uh, Dean Bunley. Dean Bunley was a gentleman who actually introduced many African Americans in the Chicago area to the Belgian Malinois back in the early 90s. Dean's Club was Working Dog Association, and then when I moved where I'm at now, of course, Midwest Working Dog Association had not trained or had an event in many years, but I just wanted to keep the legacy of Midwest Working Dog Association going. So I called Dean Bunley and asked him if I could use his club name to start my own club, which was a Schutzhund club. And of course, Dean gave me his blessings, and we've been Midwest Working Dog Association for 20 years now.
Oh, okay, cool. That's what I did an interview with Gypsy Stratton, who just happened to pass away after about a year long bout with the effects of cancer. So
Yep.
rest in peace, Gypsy. And so that's where your name came up. He was talking about that, and man, he put you in high regards in that interview. So I said,
Well,
I gotta go ahead.
Gypsy was one of the people that when I came up, I kind of admired a lot. Like his skill level to read a dog and his skill level to do agitation work, man, and really put together a personal protection dog was like no other. I mean, Gypsy was in his day, he was the best of the best. And if you really wanted your dog tested, I mean, he was the guy. You know, I mean, a
Mm,
lot of people feared him for that reason, though, too. Because if you put one together and Gypsy tested, I mean, you know if it was put together right on
mhm.
a personal protection uh, platform. Gypsy was at the top of the game, man. He was a he was a feeder.
Right.
He
Uh, s-
fed. He said a lot of knowledge and a lot of game to people, man.
He sure did, man. Every time you talk to him, it's like you learn something new,
Yeah, for sure. And he was very well educated too. People didn't realize that how smart Gypsy was. Gypsy knows a lot about the laws, and he knows a lot about the legality of dog bites and stuff like that. So his whole premise was built around kind of what the law is and what you can and can't do with a personal protection dog. So that's what made Gypsy so important to the personal protection dog community.
right, right, and a lot of the things too, like you talk to him, you get surprised every time you talk to him. I talk to P Dunn Mega a lot. He's another guy that we kind of when they start teaching you stuff, bro. It's kind of like you don't even really expect to go in depth the way they do and certain things they want you to know. Now we ain't going nowhere until you know this, and they making
Yeah.
sure you know it. So it's really cool. So let me get off and ask you some stuff. So because my viewers are uh, all kind of viewers, but most of my viewers are people that want to learn from giants like yourself. So um, can you explain what IPO is and what makes it different from other training disciplines?
Yeah, absolutely. So, IPO, IGP, Schutzen, it's a German sport. It's a three-phase sport that encompasses tracking, obedience, and protection. And that's really what separates it from a lot of other dog sports, that discipline. It's three phases. And so the dog has to be balanced, pretty much balanced in all three phases. Of course, tracking is difficult. I mean, you got to put the time in for that. The obedience portion to IGP or IPO I would say it has to be, one of the more precise uh, dog sports out there for obedience. I mean, there's so many different ways and you can lose points and so many different things that the judges look for. The dog's emotion, if the dog is active or not active. Of course, speed. Of course, the relationship. So the obedience portion of it is really it's pretty tough. It's tough to train, and that's where a lot of people are putting more and more time into the obedience because to go out and make a 95, 96 in obedience with under the watchful eye of some of the judges and international judges that we have in America today is pretty tough. And then the protection part, there's so many different transitions in it. A dog goes from aggression to prey to obedience, back to aggression, back to prey, back to obedience, and those intricate parts in protection make it very difficult uh, to train. So, what separates it from all the other sports, or is that it has to be precise,
Mm-hmm.
and it has to all come together to make a big picture. Whereas, you know, sports like PSA, they don't care about the details of the exercises so much as long as the dog just performs them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it does. Well, how did you specifically get involved in that style of training?
Well, believe it or not, I was introduced to personal protection first, like I said, and just hearing a conversation amongst the guys that introduced me to personal protection, I heard them talking about going to a Schutzhund club on Sunday. And of course, I got more and more intrigued with just the word Schutzhund. Like, what is Schutzhund? It's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's different training. It's a sport. It's more for competition. Blah blah blah. Well, I kept asking questions and kept knocking on doors, and eventually they allowed me to come out to the club on Sunday. And once I saw it, I've been hooked ever since.
Oh, nice. Okay. All right. So, what are the key traits and characteristics that make a dog suitable for IPO training?
Man, it's got to be a very well bred dog and a very well balanced dog. What makes it suitable for IPO or Schutzen or IGP is the dog has to one have the desire, the desire to want to be out on the field. It has to, encompass great engagement with the handler. The dog has to be very, very environmentally strong. I mean, because a lot of the trials that you go to, I mean, they're not on your home field, so you have to travel to them. So the dog has to have, good temperament in the
Mm-hmm.
car with traveling and, all the things. A lot of personal protection dogs, they don't leave their houses. They go. If they do, they're going somewhere with the handler in the car back to the house. You know what I mean? So
Right.
they don't really see different fields, different decoys. They kind of live their life under the gun, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas uh, temperament in IGP is very important. I mean, there's exercises where, for instance, in the BHVT, where the dog has to walk through a crowd of people, a jogger, a biker, uh, even the microchip check scan has become a form of checking the temperament of the dog. So
Mm.
um, temperament is very important.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Can you walk us through the training process for a dog in IPO from basic commands to advanced skills? Just something brief.
Um, from basic to advanced. Okay, so the BHVT would be
Mm-hmm.
something that's very basic.
Mm-hmm.
There's healing on leash, healing off leash, pretty much a sit stay, down stay. You leave the dog 30 paces, then you must recall the dog. After the recall, then you do a more or less a 15-minute long down. Not really with a lot of distraction. The only distraction is that you're paired with another dog, and while that dog is doing the actual routine, your dog must maintain a long down with you approximately 50 paces away, 30 to 50 paces away. So that's very basic. Um, an example of IGP3, that now that long down has gunfire in it.
Mm-hmm.
So the dog will hear two gunshots while the dog is healing down the field, and it'll hear two gunshots while it's on the long down. And then you add the retrieves in there, and now the dog must maintain that down position while another dog does all three retrieves, one on the flat, one over the jump, one over the wall.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Um, are there any specific challenges or difficulties that you commonly encounter during IPO training, and how do you overcome them?
Uh, I would say the biggest thing that you would encounter doing IGP or IPO is just having the resources,
Mm-hmm.
having a field, having the equipment, and then the biggest is having the area large enough to do the tracking phase.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably the biggest, especially if you don't live in like a community that I live in. I live in a farm community, so I have access to, thousands of acres of tracking. Whereas if you live in the city, you don't have access to that. You don't have access to the different terrains, to go from park grass to sod, to go from sod to a hayfield, to go from a hayfield to winter wheat to dirt, dirt to
Mm-hmm.
alfalfa. And so you kind of have to educate yourself a little bit um, on what those different terrains are because for tracking, they can change from trial to trial, just depending on what region you're in and what area you live in. So I would say if I had to pick one thing that's the most challenging, it's resources. And how do you overcome that? You knock on doors,
Yeah.
Um, of course, you got a lot of friends that do the sport too. So if you're lucky enough, they'll let you tag along and go track with them, and they'll share the resources. Having a stadium to train in,
Mm-hmm.
is difficult to get. I mean, that's a resource that a lot of people don't have the luxury of having.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
probably the biggest.
Gotcha. Gotcha. All right. What about your success stories? Any accomplishments? Sorry, man. That that always make you feel like, man, that was the one for me.
Well, I mean, the biggest accomplishment for me, um, uh, I've done quite a few championships, over 35 as a helper. I'm one of the few people in the United States that have shown a dog in a national, been the helper at a national, and judge the national championship. I think there's only two or three people in the country that have actually accomplished all three. I'm one of them. But taking all of that away, for me, my biggest success story is actually competing against the guy that introduced me to the sport and beating him um, at a championship. That's the my biggest success. I think. I mean, that weighs the heaviest with me. I always wanted to beat the guy, and then
Mm-hmm.
as I got more and more into the sport and just kind of found my way in the sport, I wanted to beat him, and
Hmm.
eventually I did.
Oh, good, cool, cool. In your opinion, what are the most important qualities a dog trainer should possess when working with IPO dogs?
Patience. That is
Okay.
by far the biggest. The dogs only work with the information that you provide them. And
Hmm.
I think the biggest thing that most people or young trainers lack is patience.
Hmm.
I mean, the dog has a brain too. He has an opinion of what he thinks is right. You know what you're trying to convey, and sometimes bridging that gap um, takes time. So I would say definitely the biggest one is to have a little bit more patience when you're trying to teach the dog something new.
Gotcha, gotcha. So I know everything have safety precautions. How do you ensure the safety and well-being of both the dogs and the trainers during training sessions?
Well, the first thing is um, you have to have the right equipment. That's first. So when you talk about safety equipment, um, is how we stay safe. And of course, when people come training, they come training here. Everybody must contain their dogs in some type of dog crate or enclosure in the vehicle. We pretty much set training up so that everybody gets a turn more or less, or we kind of train it like the trial where there's two dogs on the field at the same time.
Hmm.
And even, if that dog that's doing the long down, we have a 50-foot cable so that we can put the dog on a down. And if he does decide to get up, he can't go far or break loose or get loose and go after another dog or person or whatever. So equipment is how we maintain safety.
Man, you are assassin with these questions. People gonna think this stuff staged, man. You just running through these questions that I prepared. Okay.
I ain't got nothing in front of me.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah, I
I'm
know, I
sitting
know.
I'm,
I'm like,
I'm sitting here
God.
with a bag of chips in front of me,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah. Hey, they told me you was the truth. They told me that. Okay, check this one out. Are there any misconceptions or myths about IPO training that you would like to address or clarify?
Man, I'm glad you asked that. The biggest misconception is that um, IGP or Schutzhund guys, um, we only want our dog to bite the sleeve, or just it's just a game.
Uh oh. Uh oh. That's a big. I was going to ask at the end. We can go on to get into that. Yeah. So yeah, go ahead and expound on that.
That's a big huge misconception
Hmm.
that we only want the dog to bite the sleeve as a game. And there are some trainers that train like that, but that's not the masses. That's not the masses of trainers. The
Hmm.
masses of trainers that on a excuse me, at the higher levels, they like a very well balanced dog. They want the dog to have a level of aggression, a level of defense, a level of praise, and then they kind of combine all those tools together to fit
Hmm.
what the protection um, exercises are for the sport. There's a place for active and aggressive barking. There's a place for big, strong, full grips. We get deducted points if the dogs don't bite full. But to say that IGP trainers or the sport itself, we primarily only like dogs that are prey junkies is ludicrous. I
Hmm.
mean, I want my dog if I need him, should I need them in a uh, civil situation to respond with protecting me. So to
Mm-hmm.
say that we only want dogs to um, bite and play is ridiculous.
Right, right. Yeah, I be hearing mixed things about that. Some people like, oh, those sports dogs won't bite without with unless they had equipment on or something like that. And then Gypsy always told me, yeah, they will. And I have other people tell me other things.
You,
So,
you
but
train a dog. You train a dog to bite to think that it won't bite if you push on it or you do something that. I mean, yeah, that's a level of it. Sure, there's levels. You know what I
right.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe not such a good dog that does the sport that can do well in the sport, but doesn't really have the tools or doesn't have the characteristics
Mm-hmm.
and doesn't possess defense, great level of defense, and or a great level of prey drive, whatever. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Mm-hmm.
Sure, there's levels, and those dogs may not perform like you would think or like you would want to. But
Right.
there's some personal protection dogs that don't perform on those levels too, that aren't so great of dogs that you couldn't just walk in somebody's house and take their TV. So,
Mm-hmm.
every dog is different
Yeah.
and every trainer is going to approach the dog different, but to put everybody in this one boat and say, okay, all of the people in Schutzhund or all Schutzhund dogs are just sport dogs and they won't bite for real. Man, come on.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That's terrible thing. That's terrible thinking.
Right. Okay. So let me ask you this. So, wait. Hold on. Let me stick on that for a second. So I just did an episode on something similar. I don't know if you saw it, but what do you think about these type of dogs for families? I mean, what happens when they retired? Or can you place IPO a Schutzhund dog with a family that
A
wants
lot
a
of people
civil
do.
dog?
A lot of people do. A lot of
Okay.
people take their retired Schutzhund dogs and put them in families and stuff like that. I just don't. I mean, I would prefer the dogs to live out the better years of their life with me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've never, I don't, have I ever placed a retired dog? I haven't. If I compete with it, I trial with it, and I get the dog to a place, and I eventually retire. That dog stays with me for the rest of his life.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
I don't just throw them away. Like I mean, because they become a part of me. They become a part of who I am, what I am, kinda, and um, I just think it's unfair to take those dogs, even though some people say, "Oh, we're giving it a better life." They just mean a little bit more to me than just uh, uh, a trophy, if you will. You compete with them for a little bit, then when you're
Mm-hmm.
done with them, or when they're done, you're done with them. Like,
Yeah, but
no.
yeah, even with just the bonding aspect, the trophy aspect too. You got to think about it. Damn, I went through everything. Man, this dog
I
trained
love them,
together.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love them. I
yeah.
love them. I had one of my dogs for sale um, here. He's not the. I love the dog. He's not the dog per se for me, but I trained him. I had fun with him. He got me back out on the field, and um, he didn't do so well after a trial. And I said, I'm done. I'm selling him. And dude, I probably had 30 people, 40 people interested in buying that dog that wanted him today, right now. Oh, Wayne, we'll come get him. We'll pay. One lady said, hey, I have a very wealthy client, that's looking for a black dog. And, he live out his life sleeping on the couch and traveling in, $1 million, mobile home. And after I gave it, some, real thought after I could clear my mind. I was like, wait a minute, I can't sell this dog. I love this dog. Even though he's not the best dog for the sport,
Hmm.
we did accomplish a few things, and I couldn't sell him, so I ended up keeping him.
Gotcha. Yeah. Um, this is for the newbies or the people who want to get into this thing. Can you provide some tips or advice for individuals who are interested in getting started with Schutzhund training?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the best way to really get involved in it is to visit your local clubs. Kind of go out to the clubs, meet the people, and see if you're a match for the people. I mean, that's the before you even get into the dog training aspect. You're still dealing with people, and people have to match. Your
Hmm.
personalities have to match, and when personalities don't match, it interferes with good training. Um, and when you get started, most people kind of start with the dog that they have, and sometimes that works out, and you become a hero for training a dog that wasn't bred to do the sport, but you ended up getting it through, getting it titled and stuff like that. You're a hero when you do that. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
For me, anyway, you are,
Right. Right.
especially if the dog wasn't bred for it. But I would say do the research first. Get a nice puppy prospect. Visit your local clubs, and make sure your personality matches with the people that's there. I mean, if you're not family, because you're gonna spend a great deal of
Hmm.
time with these people, traveling, seminars,
Hmm.
going to different trials, training every weekend, going to dinner. These people become a very integral part of your family too. They become family.
Hmm.
So if you're gonna be in a family club setting, I think it's important to uh, be around the people that you want to be around first.
That man, don't. Many people don't say that you need to find people. I don't care what it is in this dog thing, whether it be a breeder you're going to be working with, and making sure that you're a good fit for his personalities. You know what I mean?
Personality's got to match. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
before you
man.
can even start good training, how am I going to help somebody I don't like?
Right, right. That's I don't do
So
business with people I don't like.
you don't do
Straight up.
business with them. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
don't do business with people. How you gonna do business with somebody or train with somebody, be with somebody every single
yeah.
weekend if you don't like them, if
That's
you don't
right.
get along with them? We gotta have some things in common, like
Mm-hmm.
even outside of dog training. Like, for me it's important to be able to sit around and talk about life other than just dogs, even though we
Right.
probably spend the majority of our time talking. Like, we trained this weekend, after training every day, we went out to dinner,
That's
as
right.
a group, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that becomes more like a family then.
That's right.
I see these people more than I see my mother.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. If y'all got one objective, man, we got to be on one accord. I can't,
Yeah, so we,
I can't
we
go to
got to
war
get
with somebody
along.
hating me. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, but I'm glad you said that. That's very important. Um, how do you assess a dog's potential for Schutzhund training? What criteria are you looking for?
The biggest criteria for me is that the dog is confident.
Hmm.
That is the biggest criteria. Confident, and then I would say all the other elements just kind of fall under that. Good food drive, good toy, good play drive. But it starts with a confident puppy. They have to be confident. I got to see them early on, have a level of engagement, wanting to chase things. So they have to have good prey drive. Not so much the defensive stuff yet. I don't get into that. Um, uh, that stuff until the dog is a little bit more mature and can handle that emotion.
Hmm.
But I do like dogs that have, like puppies that have extreme prey drive, will chase the toy, want to bite it, want to hold it, and possess it. So um, I would say the biggest one for me is, just starting out with a puppy that's confident. I could put it in the car, drive it 5 hours, take it out, and it'll still have his tail bowed up over his back and his chest poked out, and he's ready for whatever comes at him.
Explain that defensive emotion and why you rather wait to instill that later.
It's like you ever see a 3-year-old become angry,
Oh,
as a
well, yeah,
kid.
yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay, you've seen it. A 3-year-old, he can't really handle that emotion. That's why it's important for mom and dad to go over and say, "Oh, come on, buddy," give him a hug, give him a kiss, and get him out of that. You know what I mean? He doesn't know how to deal with that mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, some people push the defense part on puppies a little bit too soon, and they get the actual opposite. It makes the puppies a little bit more reactive. and not so confident. Whereas if we build him up to be confident and then we start pushing the buttons, then he knows how to handle that emotion. He knows how to handle defense. Do I need defense? Yes, I need to. If you're going to have a dog that's, prey that's on the offense side, we got to have one that's a little bit defense too, that knows how to counter um, what a decoy or agitator does in front of them. They have to be taught to. It's like a good sparring partner. That's
Mm-hmm.
what a good decoy is, and he will teach and help a puppy grow and develop that skill and how to handle, the pitcher when a defensive pitcher is thrown at him, how to fight and how to get through it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Um, can you discuss the importance of building a strong bond and relationship between the dog and the trainer in Schutzhund training?
You know, if I'm gonna work with you every day, we gotta like each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? We gotta like each other. You gotta like me. I gotta like you. And how do dogs express their relationship with the handler? Well, they express it in their willingness to want to please you. Wanting to work for you, wanting to get it right and look at you like they love you. Like, man, you're their end all be all. And I think a lot of people struggle with um, developing good relationships with their dog because they only see that the dog must do something, and the dog has an opinion too. I want the dog to want to do something for me.
Right.
Yeah, you must do it when I ask of you, but I want you to want to do it more than you must do it, if that makes
Exactly.
sense.
Yes, it does. Yes, sir.
Want
All
to
right.
do it. Like if you want the dog wants to do it, then you're gonna have a dog that's a lot more open and a lot more free to do things when you want it done your way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I got you. I understand. Um, what role does the handler play during training? How do they communicate with the dog and work together with the dog? And what does the I guess you guys say your helper in that
Decoy,
world?
agitated,
Yeah.
helper, all of
Okay.
the
Yeah.
same.
And how does it all mesh together?
I mean, well, the handler is the motherboard. The handler is the brains. The
Mm-hmm.
handler is. I mean, but you're dealing with two brains. You still have the brain of the dog too, and
Mm-hmm.
the handler has to be able to um, communicate with the dog with not always words, but with his body expression too. Like some people are, they kind of mope along, right? But if your body language is more energetic and more forthgoing um, and happy, then the dog's reaction to that usually is the same thing. So the handler is integral in that situation. This is why I like to train puppies with the clicker more so than I like to train puppies with my voice when I mark the behavior I want because I don't always have a good day, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And if I take my puppy out and I'm training it, and I'm a little bit more on the downside, my energy is a little bit on the downside, and I just go, okay, good job, okay. Well, then that goes right directly to the puppy's emotion and his attitude. Like, man, this guy's not really into it today, so the
Mm-hmm.
dog's not gonna really be into it. But man, you get that clicker out, then it don't matter what my emotion is because
Mm-hmm.
the clicker is the same every single time.
Right. Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Gotcha.
The clicker don't change, and then
Mm-hmm.
then I can kind of be a little bit slow in my mechanics, But that
Mm-hmm.
clicker, man, boom, it speaks the language for you.
Do you have any days when a dog might have that emotion? Man, he ain't with it today. What do you do
Yeah,
to improve his focus?
put them away. Come back the next day.
Gotcha.
If I'm not 100% in it, I won't. If I don't know exactly what I'm training or
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I'm working on, or if I'm down just a little bit with my dog that I'm going to a competition or a trial with, I simply just won't train him that day.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
You know, I
Gotcha.
mean something. I mean something's gonna go wrong, and then if I'm not in it, The dog makes a mistake. I get frustrated. Then correct the dog, overly correct the dog, or do something that, is going to destroy all the months and months and months of work that you've put in on one day because you wasn't feeling good. Man, it's so much easier to put the dog away, go get a drink, sip some cognac or something, man, and
Mm-hmm.
come back at it the next day rejuvenated.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, let me ask you this one. Let's see here. I think you might have knocked out my next question. Let me look here. See, I'll ask it anyway. Are there any specific strategies or exercise you use to improve a dog's focus, obedience, and agility in IPO?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of exercises to improve focus. Absolutely.
Okay.
Um, I play a lot of food games with the dog, a lot of toy games, engagement games. All of those things improves um, the dog's focus. And when I get a puppy, when it's a young puppy for the first few months of his life, it eats directly from my hand.
Mm-hmm.
It
Okay.
don't eat from a bowl. It eats directly from my hand every single day. If it eats twice a day, it gets fed twice a day from my hand. So then that bond, it's kind of like a mother a mother puppy relationship bond. You ever see when they take the mother out of the whelping box and let her go outside and potty or give her some time away from the puppies?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you bring the female back in, the puppies wake up and they go crazy
Crazy. Yeah.
because mama's back in the box. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of I want that relationship. I want
Mm-hmm.
my dog when it sees me to go crazy, to be happy, to be ready to work for me when it
Right.
sees me. So yeah, there's a lot of things that you can, games that you can do to improve that focus and that engagement in that relationship. And for me, it starts the first day I pick the puppy up.
Gotcha. Okay. Um. So when you go to a trial, how do you prepare the dog, and what's your preparation looks like for this?
Well, preparation for me starts with conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
So I do condition my dogs. I treadmill them, I swim them. I do all of, they got to be conditioned. Schutzhund is or IGP is a three-phase sport. The tracks are, you know, usually pretty big. The obedience fields are in state. Obedience and protections, are in stadium. A football size of a football stadium is 50
Mm-hmm.
yards by 100 yards, and trust me, you're gonna walk every bit of that.
Oh yeah.
And in protection, the dog got to run six blinds that are stretched out 30, 30, 35, 36 in between, and 70 across. So, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, that's a big field. So the dog got you got to start with conditioning. So I condition
Right.
the dog first, and then I teach the dog to that when I begin certain phases, um, I teach him the start of those phases. So it's called staging the dog. So if I stage you for obedience, usually I get the dog out, play a little bit of ball, leave him in a down, and then in his mind he's seen this picture before, and he knows, okay, now we're doing obedience.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if I stage him for tracking, I get him out, I let him potty, pee, take care of his business, comes back, and then I may give him, two, three handfuls of food and then tell him to lay down. Now he knows he's in his mind, he's done it every single time.
Mm-hmm.
And now he knows that, hey, I'm getting ready to track. In protection, I usually show him a bad guy, at the car, and then, let him kind of drag me to the field and lay him down there. And then, in his mind, hey, I'm looking for a
It's,
bad guy. Then he sees six blinds, so he knows, hey, I have to search
it's
these
time.
things before I get to the guy at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, and I just kind of run those routines like that at
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of training every single time, no matter where I am. And
Mm-hmm.
so the dog has some idea about what's next.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Um. So let's see. Are there any ongoing training or educational requirements for Schutzhund trainers to stay up to date with the latest techniques and developments? Do y'all got any hubs where people can learn, or people learn from you somewhere?
That's I wish it were like that. I
Mm-hmm.
wish they had like hubs or different things like that. I would say the best thing that you can do nowadays is, when people post that they have workshops or seminars or things like that to participate in with or without a dog. Actually, I learn a lot more usually when I don't take a dog because then I get to see everybody's problem. I get to see everybody's experience or what it is they're working on, and I can take notes and learn from that. So there's a lot of seminars in the United States. People bring people in, top trainers in from Europe. We got some of the best trainers in the world right here in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of those people go around and do workshops and seminars and stuff like that. And I always encourage people to participate in them. And who knows, you might meet a friend, you might meet a training buddy, you might meet a breeder, you might meet, you know, uh, you might go there and find something that you needed. So don't hesitate when people post seminars or workshops to go participate in them. They're there, especially for IGP. We probably have more workshops and seminars than any dog sport discipline in the world.
Is that what you're doing in Arkansas coming up, a workshop?
Yep, yep, yep.
Okay, and that's on the
That's
21st,
this
I
coming
believe.
weekend. This
Oh, this
coming
coming
weekend.
weekend. Okay, okay. I ain't gonna be able to make that when I got to work. Okay, so but you're gonna be in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Jonesboro. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. All right. Um, can you discuss the importance of sportsmanship, fair play, and ethical treatment of dogs in the world of Schutzhund?
Well, sportsmanship is, for me, helping people that you don't necessarily know. I mean, I think that goes a long way, especially when you get to the national levels and stuff like that. Some people travel by themselves. Like I had to go to California last year for nationals. I mean, if it wasn't for the help of other competitors during my practice times and stuff like that, man, I don't know how I would have got through the trial. So sportsmanship is definitely important. And for me, it's simple. Just help somebody that needs help if you can.
Right.
Somebody walks to the car, gets their dog, leaves something. Shit, I forgot my tab, or I forgot my ball, or I can't find my remote, or something like that. Be the guy that says, hey, stay right there with your dog. I'll go get it for you, or where's your car, or whatever. Just help people that need help if you see them. Um, and clean up after your dog. That's
Right.
sportsmanship
Yeah.
too.
Right. Right. I need some
Clean up after your
sportsmanship in my
dog.
damn neighborhood.
Oh man,
Come down shitting on my yard all the time. But
yeah.
let me ask you this, man. And this will be probably one of my final questions. Man, what is up with Chicago? Y'all got like it's something about the dog men. Y'all got very popular dog trainers in that area.
Well, I mean, Chicago for many many years uh, was a hub for competitions and a hub for um, it kind of set the tone for personal protection around the United States for a long, long time. You
Okay.
got to think a lot of people would come to Chicago competitions um, to compete, against other dog trainers in personal protection. Um, Personal protection in the last 10 years has ballooned. There used to be a time when you didn't really see a lot of personal protection competitions, but man, they sure had a bunch of them in Chicago.
Mm.
You had, God, you had so many different groups of people on the west side, on the south side, that were holding personal protection dog competitions, and they all won money. So it was very popular. So to answer your question, yeah, there's some bad dudes in Chicago. There's some really really good dog trainers in Chicago. A lot of them don't get the recognition that they deserve, only because um, they don't really have an outlet to show the work
Hmm.
unless they put a dog in a competition or a personal protection competition. And a lot of the guys just don't, aren't social media savvy, or you
Hmm.
know social media has kind of taken, taking flight now. And if you can't show me a video right now today, it don't exist. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, um, so to answer that, yeah, we got some bad dudes in Chicago, man. They just don't get a lot of national recognition because they don't leave Chicago, unfortunately.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Can you name or give me some of your favorite dogs you trained or not throughout your career? Maybe however many you could change. Dogs that always stick out. That was a badass dog.
Man, most of those dogs are right from Chicago too. Let's see. Dean Bunley had a Malinois. Um, oh my God, what was that? Rocky.
Hmm.
God, whew, one of the baddest dudes, man. Rocky was a missile.
Mm.
Um, Definitely a super nice dog. One I'll never forget. There was a Doberman that Gypsy Stratton trained by the name of Bogey. Bogey, I'm tattooed my bicep, man. I mean, he latched on at a Walter Ward show. I mean, I had this dog hanging from the air, man, on my bicep. Good thing he wasn't a thrasher.
Yeah.
Um, so that would be number two. Um, Darnell Wells had a Rottweiler by the name of Ali that I'll obviously never forget. That dog was a beast. That would be three. Going back to Dean Bunley after Rocky had a Malinois by the name of Rex, big 90-pound Malinois that just ate everybody up. But he was a lot of fun. Um, that would be a dog that I would never forget. Let's see here. Um, I would say those dogs would probably be my top ones. Oh, Mel McDuffie had a pit bull named Sammy that was really tough.
Mm-hmm.
Real nice dog, real put together dog too. Had super temperament.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I remember my daughter had to be about 5 or 6 years old, and she was doing obedience with this dog at 5 or 6 years old. I mean, it's super temperament.
Mm-hmm.
Great in protection. That'd be a dog that I wouldn't forget. Oh, Sammy. Sammy was a good one. Let's see who else. I'd say that'd be about the top ones for
Okay.
me.
Okay. All right, man. I know you're a busy man. I'm gonna let you go.
Man, I
But
appreciate I appreciate letting me on,
man,
man.
I thank you, man. And bro, you a missile, man. I mean, I was like, God, he going to did he get in my phone somehow and was prepared and everything? But it was a great interview. I know people will enjoy it. Before we
Good.
go, if you want people to reach out to you, anything you might got going on, promote yourself, brother.
Man, I mean, like Deion Sanders say, I ain't hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
You can hit me on Facebook. I usually post a lot of content there. I'm also on Instagram, Wayne Singleton on Instagram. My Instagram is just dedicated solely to dogs. I don't post nothing personal on my Instagram. It's all training reels, pictures, trial pictures, um, puppy training reels, stuff like that, tracking stuff. So my Instagram probably has like as far as training material is a better outlet or a better source if you want to follow that kind of stuff. So, but I always post upcoming workshops and seminars and stuff like that on Facebook. So if you follow me there, uh, I always post it there, so you'll know exactly where I'm at.
All right. Hey man, I appreciate you, brother.
You too, man. Hey,
You
thanks for having me, man.
all
And
right.
once you publish it, let me know.
I sure will. All right, man. Take care of
All
yourself,
right,
brother.
brother.
Okay.
Peace.
Peace. Babe, I'm ready.
And that wraps up another episode of NWA Connie Corsos. Thank you for being a part of our Connie Corso community. Remember, you can stay connected with us beyond the podcast. Find us on all major media platforms by searching for NWA Connie Corsos. Whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. Just hit that follow button to join the conversation and get the latest updates. If you have a burning question or want to apply to be a guest on our show, we'd love to hear from you. Simply shoot us an email at nwaconniecorsos@gmail.com. And if you're a business interested in becoming a sponsor, reach out to us at the same email address. For more resources, exclusive content, and links to all our social media profiles, visit our website at nwaconniecorsos.com. It's your go-to destination for everything dogs. Thank you once again for tuning in, and we can't wait to bring you more exciting episodes where we explore the fascinating world of dogs.